Welcome to The Deep Dive. This is a Prime AI podcast brought to you by the folks at Silicon and Silk.
Great to be here.
Today we're tackling something I know frustrates a lot of online fashion retailers. It's this really specific feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You invest heavily in a size recommendation tool, maybe one of those interactive quizzes on the product page.
Mm-hmm.
You spend time, money, integrate it all.
Yeah, you do everything right, technically speaking.
Exactly. And then you look at the numbers, the quarterly reports, and your overall refund rate. It hasn't budged. It's just flat.
Oh, absolutely. That's a story we hear constantly. Retailers often come to platforms like Prime AI, basically, after hitting this wall. They've tried the quizzes, maybe several versions.
Right.
They feel like they improved the customer experience. They gave shoppers the answer, but they're left asking that one big question. Why didn't our overall return rate go down?
It's like they followed the standard playbook, but the main KPI just didn't react.
Precisely. And today, we want to really unpack the why behind that. We're going to dig into the data based on insights from folks dealing with these exact situations, including stories from clients who've moved on from those initial tools.
Okay, so what's the core finding here? Is it just that the quizzes aren't accurate enough?
Well, that's the easy assumption, but it's usually not the whole story. Based on, looking at countless setups like these, the real issue often isn't just the accuracy of the recommendation itself.
Okay.
The fundamental problem, the constraint, is the reach of the tool. How many sales does it actually touch?
Reach. Okay, let's dive into that. Limited reach. This feels like where the standard approach starts to break down mathematically.
Totally. Because these quiz-based systems, just by how they work, they only engage a pretty small fraction of your total sales volume.
What kind of numbers are we talking about typically?
Usually around 25%, maybe 30% of all orders, tops. That's the segment that actually uses the quiz.
Right. So only about a quarter of your customers are even seeing a recommendation from this tool you've invested in.
Exactly. And that limited influence creates what we call the dilution effect. It basically washes out any positive impact the tool might be having in that small group.
Okay, can we walk through the math, make it concrete for everyone listening?
Yeah, let's do that. It makes it much clearer. So imagine your store processes 10,000 orders a month, just a nice round number.
Got it. 10,000 orders.
Now, if your size finder influences, let's say, higher end 30% of those orders, that means the tool was engaged for 3,000 orders.
Okay, 3,000 out of 10,000.
Right. Now, let's say your store's baseline return rate, the one you're trying to fix, is 20%, just for size-related reasons.
So 2,000 returns per month need solving.
Exactly. 2,000 returns. But the quiz, mathematically, can only possibly affect the outcome for those 3,000 orders where it was used. It can't touch the other 7,000.
But hang on, it gets more complicated, right? Because even within those 3,000 people who use the quiz, they don't all actually buy the size it recommends, do they?
You've hit the crucial point. And this is the bit that often gets glossed over when these tools are sold. Human behavior.
People think they know best.
Pretty much. We estimate, based on the data we see, that around 40% of shoppers who get a recommendation will still ignore it. They'll click add to cart on a different size.
40%. Wow. Why?
Oh, this brand usually runs small for me. Or I prefer a looser fit. Or maybe just I trust my gut more than this widget. It's that shopper confidence or past experience overriding the tech.
So wait, we spend all this effort on the tool, get 3,000 people to use it, and nearly half of them just disregard the advice anyway.
That's the reality retailers face. So let's factor that in. If only 60% of those 3,000 shoppers actually follow the recommendation.
Okay, 60% of 3,000 is 1,800 orders.
Right. Now apply that back to your total sales. That 1,800 orders represents only 18% of your initial 10,000 monthly orders. That's the actual effective reach of the tool, the segment where it's correctly influencing the purchase.
18%. That's way less than the 30% engagement figure. That's a massive drop-off in real influence.
It's huge, and that's the number that matters for the bottom line.
Okay, so let's play this out. What if that 18% segment, the 1,800 orders where people used the tool and followed the advice, performs incredibly well?
Right.
Let's say the tool is amazing for them.
Let's give it the best case scenario. Say, for those 1,800 orders, the tool manages to reduce size-related returns by a really impressive 30%. A fantastic result for that group.
30% reduction for that 18% slice. What does that do overall?
Okay, so the baseline return rate was 20%. A 30% reduction on that 20% rate for those 1,800 orders means you save let's see, about 108 returns.
108 returns saved.
Out of the initial 2,000 returns you were trying to eliminate across the whole business.
So 108 out of 2,000. What does that translate to in terms of the overall refund rate percentage?
It means, best case, you've improved your overall refund rate by about 0.5%. Half of 1%.
Wow. 0.5%.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a 0.5% shift on your monthly P&L, your finance team is probably not even going to notice that. It gets lost in the normal fluctuations of business.
So the dilution effect is just too strong.
It completely overwhelms any localized success. The math just doesn't work. You simply cannot solve a 100% problem, your total returns, with a tool that effectively only influences 18% of your sales. It's like trying to empty a swimming pool with a teaspoon.
That makes perfect sense, and it leads directly into the next big issue, doesn't it? The whole problem of measurement and, well, transparency.
Oh, definitely.
If the accuracy within that small group might be okay, but the overall results are negligible, it circles back to, can retailers even see that crucial follow-through rate? Do they know how many people ignore the advice?
This is where it gets, let's call it the uncomfortable truth, or maybe the hidden data nobody likes to talk about.
Go on.
Most providers of these standard quiz tools, they don't typically show their clients, the retailers, a clear breakdown of how many shoppers actually ordered the recommended size versus how many saw it and ordered something else.
Really? That seems like the most critical piece of information. How do they report results then?
They often use a metric like results with recommendation or performance of users who engaged with the tool. But you have to look very closely at what that includes.
And what does it include?
Usually it lumps everyone together. The shoppers who follow the advice, the only ones who actually validate the tool's effectiveness, get mixed in with the 40% or so who ignored it.
So it averages out the good results from the followers with the, presumably, baseline or worse results from the non-followers.
Exactly. It dilutes the data in a way that masks the low follow-through rate. It makes the tool look like it's influencing more sales effectively than it really is. It's kind of optimizing for engagement. People click the button rather than the real KPI, which is reducing returns.
So it's almost like a vanity metric, obscuring the dilution effect we just talked about.
You could certainly see it that way. To get real transparency, you need much more granular data.
Like what? What should retailers be asking for?
You need the kind of comparison points a truly performance-focused platform would provide. Things like, first, how many shoppers actually received a recommendation? Okay, that's the 30%.
Right.
Second, crucially, how many of those shoppers actually followed the recommendation? That gets you to the 18%.
The real number.
The real number. And third, what was the return rate specifically for those who followed it? And what was the return rate for those who got the recommendation but ordered a different size anyway?
So you need that internal comparison to see if the tool is actually helping when followed and to understand the scale of the problem when it's ignored.
Precisely. Without that clear comparison, you're essentially flying blind. You don't know if the tool works or if people just aren't listening to it.
Which brings us back to the core point.
Huh?
Accuracy alone just isn't enough if the reach, the effective reach, is tiny. Being told this quiz will cut your returns by 20-30% across the whole business.
It's basically selling a dream. If the underlying math based on 18% influence can never deliver that kind of global result. The tool has to scale its influence to match the scale of your business problem. If the reach is too low, dilution wins every time.
Okay, so for the retailers listening, the ones nodding along thinking, yep, that's my flat refund rate, what's the path forward? If the standard quiz has this built-in limitation, how do you actually move the needle significantly? How do you get the scale needed?
The mindset has to shift. It's not just about getting the recommendation right. It's about getting the recommendation to enough people frictionlessly so it actually impacts a large chunk of your sales volume.
So coverage becomes the main goal.
High coverage is key. To see those meaningful results, the ones that make the finance team happy, your sizing system needs to be influencing, bare minimum, at least half of your total sales, ideally even more.
50% or more. That's a big jump from the 18% effective reach of the standard quiz. How is that achievable?
This is where more advanced platforms come in. They move beyond just the quiz and use a more comprehensive, high-coverage approach. Think of it like a two-pillar system designed specifically to reach that 50% to 80% coverage level.
Okay, 2 pillars. What's the first one?
Pillar 1 targets the biggest and, frankly, easiest group to help your returning customers. This is what we call zero input sizing.
Zero input, meaning no quiz, no clicks.
Exactly. It has to be 100% frictionless for them. Why should a loyal customer answer questions about their body shape every single time they buy, say, another t-shirt?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's annoying.
Totally. So zero input uses the retailer's own data, that customer's purchase history, their return history, what sizes they kept, what they sent back, maybe even fit feedback if you collect it. It uses all that rich internal data to predict the best fit for that specific customer for that specific product.
And how accurate is that?
Extremely accurate, often around 99% predictive accuracy, because it's based on actual past behavior with your products. And the best part, it covers a huge chunk of traffic automatically, typically 40% to 60% of your returning visitors.
Wow, so just implementing that first pillar gets you almost halfway to that high coverage goal, maybe more, without adding any friction for a big segment of your customers.
Precisely. That's volume and impact the quiz alone could never achieve.
Okay, so that handles returning customers. What's pillar 2? That must be for the first-time shoppers, right? The ones you don't have history on.
Correct. You still need a way to capture information from new visitors. So pillar 2 is an advanced quiz engine.
How is it different from the standard quiz we've been talking about?
The key difference is what powers it. It's not just based on static brand size charts or generic body data. This advanced engine is continuously learning from all the real-world data flowing through the system.
So it uses the data from pillar 1.
Exactly. It learns from the actual sales data, the return data, the feedback from the zero input system. It understands how items actually fit different types of customers, down to the specific SKU, size, even color variations sometimes matter.
So it gets smarter over time based on what's really happening in your store.
Constantly improving. This makes the initial recommendation for a new shopper much more precise and, importantly, more trustworthy. The goal is to give a recommendation so good, so tailored, that the shopper feels confident following it, reducing that 40% override rate we talked about.
Okay, so combining zero input sizing for the majority of repeat traffic, plus a continuously learning advanced quiz for new visitors, suddenly that 50% to 80% influence target seems achievable.
It is, and that's when you see the needle move on the overall return rate, when you're influencing 50, 60, 70% or more of your orders with this kind of predictive logic.
Then what happens to returns?
Then, retailers typically see a measurable reduction in size-related returns, often in the range of 25% to 35%. And that level of impact across such a large volume of sales translates into a significant drop in the overall refund rate.
A drop the finance team will notice.
Definitely. That's the kind of result that justifies the investment. So the solution wasn't really about asking slightly smarter quiz questions all along. It was about fundamentally rethinking how you reach the customer, touching way more of the sales volume with truly predictive, often frictionless logic.
That's a really powerful takeaway. For anyone listening who's been battling that flat refund rate despite having a sizing tool, the message is clear. The quiz itself, or its accuracy, probably wasn't the main bottleneck.
The reach was. The effective coverage.
You can have the world's most perfect algorithm, but if it's only having a real conversation with 80% of your customers who actually follow through, you're just not going to see major results.
Absolutely. So if you're currently using a sizing tool, maybe nearing the end of a contract or just reviewing its performance,
What should you do?
You need to go back to your provider armed with 2 absolutely crucial questions. Non-negotiable questions.
Okay, let's hear them. The questions that cut through the noise.
First, what percentage of my total monthly sales are actually influenced by your tool? Not just engaged, but influenced towards a purchase decision. Get that total reach number.
Total reach. Got it. And the second.
Second, of those influenced sales, specifically how many shoppers actually ordered the recommended size? You need that follow-through rate, broken out clearly.
Reach and follow through.
If they can't give you clear, separate numbers for those 2 things, well, you likely already know why your overall refund rate hasn't changed much. It tells you everything about the tool's real-world impact or lack thereof.
That's incredibly useful. Demand those numbers. Okay, we've established pretty clearly today that high coverage, high reach is absolutely essential for size recommendations to actually work and reduce returns meaningfully. So, as you're thinking about that principle, the power of coverage, here's a final thought to chew on. We focus squarely on sizing today. But if this idea holds true, that knowledge and technology are often powerful but suffer from limited application, what other areas in e-commerce might be facing the same issue?
Interesting question.
Think about things like, say, product styling suggestions, or maybe those complete the look features, or even bundle recommendations. Could it be that their effectiveness is also being held back? Not necessarily by the quality of the suggestion, but simply because they aren't reaching enough customers at the right moment across the entire journey.
Are we leaving impact on the table simply due to lack of coverage elsewhere?
Something to definitely mull over. Thanks for joining us.